My top 5 players, some surprises at defensive tackle. Got a couple guys that maybe the Eagles could take a look at in this draft. And where I think these quarterbacks are going to go in the draft, we're going to do that because I think it dictates where these teams are going to go or maybe trying to trade up or down. I want to reset a little bit and get back in order here because I've got the draft evaluation chart here. And again, don't forget tomorrow at 3:30, Jimmy Johnson, the creator of it. I would say that 70% of the teams in the league use that chart to prepare for an NFL draft, including the Eagles. I know Joe Douglas uses it. I know Andrew Berry in Cleveland uses it. So it's kind of where we are here with this. And I think we got all the way down to Indianapolis. Carolina needs a quarterback, edge, wide receiver, corner, tight end, offensive guard, D-line. Houston needs a quarterback, guard, wideout. It's a terrible draft for wide receivers. Safety, LB, edge, and D-line. Arizona needs a D-line, edge, running back, tight end, OG, corner, wideout. Indy needs cornerback, quarterback, wide receiver, edge, OG, safety, LB. Number 5 is Seattle. This is interesting here because Geno Smith factors into this now. Do you feel comfortable the next 2 years? Pete Carroll's 71. You think Pete Carroll wants to sit around breaking in a new quarterback, or maybe he wants to leave the team in a good position? Because any coach that leaves his team, like right now, if Bill Belichick were to leave the New England Patriots, he would leave them in ruin. And what you'd like to do is, if you want to really have a great legacy, on the way out the door, you want to leave your team like Jimmy left that team that Barry Switzer ran to Jerry Jones. You want to leave it in a position that it's a championship football team. And currently right now, Seattle's got to look at it. Does Pete want to go down that route? Does he want to be in that position? Or does he still want to win ball games? Because remember something. I think Pete Carroll is a Hall of Fame coach. Joe says this is a great wide receiver draft. This sucks at wide receiver. Really? You see playmakers in this thing? Where? What playmaker do you go wow with? There's not one wide receiver in that draft you go, that's Jamar Chase. That's Jalen Waddle. That's Devontae Smith. There's none of those guys in this draft. You see guys in that draft where you went, man, that guy is special. There's nobody in that. I mean, you knew when Jamar Chase, you were like, holy shit, that guy, and he had 1,500 yards his rookie year. I mean, there's nobody in this draft. Zero in this draft that makes you go, wow. I've never actually seen a draft where the wide receiver position is not front and center when it comes to conversation. It usually is quarterback, wideout. Now it's O-line, edge. There's more conversation on Bijan than wide receivers in this draft. Who's Zay Flowers? Sorry, I must have missed a bunch of games of his. Who's he? Is that the kid from BC? Sorry, Boston College? I don't know. Marvin Harrison Jr., the draft next year is great for wideouts. Absolutely. Be a lot of great wide receivers in next year's draft. Okay? I completely agree. So you got to ask yourself if you're Seattle. Okay, Joe. 17 great wide receivers. 17 really good wide receivers. I'd rather take Juju Smith-Schuster than anything in this draft. Outside of the first 6 dudes. Okay, Seattle needs a safety. Can you imagine this? Seattle needs a safety. Okay, they trade Jamal Adams to the Jets, and they need a safety position, but they're not drafting a safety in the first round. Zay Flowers pulled out of the draft. Good for him. He probably needed to. Then look at the positions Seattle needs. Safety and LB. They addressed it with what's his name coming back. Okay? But you could probably take that off the list. So DL, is that Jalen Carter? Could that be Jalen? See, to me, Seattle takes Jalen Carter, but they addressed that also in free agency. They need a wideout on the other side of DK Metcalf. You can get one of what's-his-name's receivers in the second day, I guess. They need an offensive line help. They need edge help. They need a tight end. To me, the pick is DT, O-line, if you're not going to go quarterback. So to me, could Skornowski go there to Seattle? Would he help? Probably. Detroit, tight end. Detroit gets rid of that Hawkinson kid, sends him to an in-division team, and then they turn around in the draft and their biggest need is tight end. Is it because they didn't want to pay him? Did they not think he's good? I thought he brought a lot to Detroit. When he went to Detroit, did you not think that Hawkinson kid brought something to the table offensively? See, that doesn't make sense here, but I don't know, man. So Detroit now, I mean, why would you think tight end would be like a need? You got the guy from Minnesota, right? I don't think that's a need. Corner. They got CJ in the slot, maybe there. OG, could you help there? Yeah. Quarterback is potentially a place. Linebacker, not a good one. Lions traded Hawkinson to the Vikings. That's what I mean. That's right. That's right. So you had to, that's what hey, Tone, you had the guy and you traded him to the Vikings in division. That's it. So now you have a need there at tight end. How's that work? You had a guy. I guess you didn't think he was good enough. I thought he was good in Minnesota. Vegas. Here's Vegas's needs. OT. Look at their needs. This is so un-Philadelphia Eagle. This is so un-Eagle. Check it out. The Raiders needed offensive tackle, an offensive guard, which is theory saying you need help in your old line. How in the world was Derek Carr going to have success when you have a shitty old line? What's that kid's leather something from Alabama? He was a turd. Leatherwood was his name. That kid was a turd. He just did not. And he was a high pick. That kid Leatherwood, massive turd. And that's what happens when you miss on guys like that. They never miss in Philly when it comes to the O-linemen. Man, teams just cut. I think more teams whiff on more offensive linemen than even the quarterback position because there's 5 guys. Man, Dave Gettleman was fired in New York with the Giants because he couldn't get that position right. Jameson brings something up. Did you see C.J. Stroud had the lowest IQ score? That's not an IQ score. That's a Wonderlic test. It's common sense shit, okay? Can I tell you what that test sometimes do? I think I got a 25 on it or something, 26, something like that. I think it's out of 50. You know what my problem was with the test? I didn't have any patience for it. I didn't have patience for it. You know what some guys do? They just go through it and don't do it, and they don't care. You know why? I don't give a shit if you can break down molecular engineering. I don't care if you have rhyme or reasoning. I just care that you're a football savant. I don't care about your common sense shit when it comes to putting together a model with airplane glue. I care that you know how to play football. And to me, that test is the dumbest thing on the planet. And what it does is, if you put out, to me, the NFL, don't put that test out just on black players. Put that test out on all players. Okay? Just be careful. Because you stereotype with that sometimes. And that stereotype of black quarterbacks is still out there and prevalent. Ask Lamar Jackson. Just be careful on the messaging. I'm not saying anybody did anything. And I'm not saying that they were painting him in any kind of way. I'm just saying be careful. There's still a negative thought process to some about black quarterbacks. Make sure you have white quarterbacks also with their scores released, because that's the worst thing you can have out there, because that stereotype is still there with some. Bill Polian. Some organizations wanted Lamar Jackson to do sprints because they didn't think he was good enough to play quarterback in the NFL. Just be careful with that. Okay? No. You can't be a dumbass, Yale, and win ball games. I agree. Okay? Now remember something about college. In college, quarterbacks in college are told where to throw the ball. In the NFL, you have to know where to throw the ball. There is a big difference in game approach with coordinators. It's a completely different game. That's what makes Bryce Young kind of a special guy, because he knew where to go with the ball because of his study habits. And that's what I think. Can I tell you this? I think that's what really kind of hampered Jalen in college, because Jalen was told where to throw the ball. Once Jalen got into the NFL, he wasn't told where to. It was up to him and his decision-making process. And I think that's why he's become a better player than Tua. Tua was told where to throw the ball in college. He was told. Saban, go back and listen to those meetings going back and forth with Saban and with Tua. Saban would sit there and tell him, you should have went here. You should have went there. You should have went there. I can guarantee you, nobody sits down in an offensive meeting with Jalen Hurts and goes, you should have went here. You should have went there. You know what the coaches are probably asking Jalen Hurts? Why'd you go here? Why'd you go there? What did you see to make you go here? So that they can get on the same page. That's coaching, my friends. That's why Hurts has gone ahead of Tua. Okay? He's gone ahead of Tua because the coaches are working with him. At Alabama, Tua was being told where to go with the ball. And that's not Jalen Hurts' game. You don't really think that a traditional coordinator could come into Philadelphia and go, Jalen, this is the offense I want you to run. He would fail massively. The stuff that Steichen and Sirianni did by trusting, it's not so much that Jalen's talents are spectacular over the top. His decision-making has become spectacular. And his hard work on getting better at quarterback accuracy is why they gave him the money. See, Jalen Hurts' decision-making is why he's in the position he's in. Not because he throws the ball better than Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Mahomes. His thinking process is better. That's why they feel comfortable with that he's going to continue to evolve. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Blaine Gabbert, Alex Smith, and Eli Manning have the top all-time Wonder League scores. I think evaluate someone another way. Correct. Blaine Gabbert. Okay, Blaine Gabbert was great with suck-ass talent. Alex Smith was average. Eli Manning was a really good – Eli Manning's not elite to me. I thought he was a really great player. And I thought he was one of those streakiest guys I've ever seen. This guy had a lot of Nick Foles in him. I think Eli Manning was a little bit better than Nick Foles. And that's pretty good. Eli beat the GOAT twice. I've never seen a quarterback in my life go on runs like Eli did in the postseason, including his brother. I mean, this guy was so streaky. And then look at his last 9 years in the NFL. Completely fell apart when the roster fell apart around him. Jerry Reese left. Tom Coughlin left. And then they were screaming to get rid of Eli. I'll guarantee you this. Now, after all the bullshit you've seen with quarterback play in New York, I wonder what people are saying now going, damn, Eli wasn't all that bad, was he? Eli wasn't all that bad. Okay, right? Let me get to the top 10 and I'll take a timeout here, Tone. Atlanta. Are you okay with Desmond Ridder? Could you take a quarterback here with Anthony Richardson be down there? Would you make a trade for Lamar Jackson? How about Lamar Jackson trade? Okay. I mean, quarterback, Desmond Ridder, cornerback. Look at all these teams that need corners, and you got two of them. Think about that in premium positions. You got two bookend offensive tackles, got an edge rusher, you got two corners, you got two wideouts, you got a top flight tight end, and you got a cast of characters at running back. The weakest position on your team is your running game. Or not your running game, your running back position. Am I right when I say that? The weakest room at the NovaCare Center is the running back room because we don't give a shit. Oh, no. The two weakest areas of the Eagles, your special teams and your running back room. Is that fair? Right? Special teams and running back room. Okay? Joe goes, I like Ridder. I don't know, man. I'm probably Switzerland on him too. I guess. Chicago. Here, look at this. Chicago needs an offensive tackle, an offensive guard. They need a corner, D-line, edge, and tight end. I mean, you got to protect your quarterback. You got to go. To me, it's O-line for the Bears. Bears, would you take the running back? Probably not, because you're in a rebuild. See, here's why the Bears can't take Bijan. They may trade it. They can't take Bijan. Why? You got to build your team from the inside out, not from the outside in or from the backfield. You got to build like the Eagles do, from your lines out. Always remember, never build your football team from the outside perimeter in. You just can't. You got to build from inside out. Why do you think Coughlin drafted Tony Baselli number 1 overall? Got to start in the O-lines, guys. You got to start in the O-lines. Philly. Safety. Here's the needs on the team. Safety. Wide receiver 3. OG. Running back, linebacker, DT, and edge. Getting older with Graham. You need more depth in D-tackle. Your linebacker position's in shambles. Your running backs are a collection of nothing. You got an open starting job at guard. Wide receiver 3, it's kind of a priority. I'd say it's priority 3. Safety's probably priority 2. See, the running back with Bijan is a luxury. But isn't this 10th pick a luxury pick? The Eagles should be picking 30th because of where they finished in the season. This is a luxury pick. Treat it as a luxury pick. You're never going to be there again, or you shouldn't be. If the Eagles are in the top 15 in the next 5 years, disaster has happened like it did after the 17 season. That's why I say I think they're in a better place now. So if this is a luxury pick, make it a luxury pick. Make it a player that can help you today. Myles Murphy. Nolan Smith. So you're going to take another track athlete like you did last year and expect that guy to step in and play with you. Look, I like the Georgia kids too. There's just one thing that bugs me a lot about the Georgia guys. You look down at their production charts, 2 sacks, 3 sacks, 8 games, 6. Run a 4.78, and another guy runs a 4.3. Okay, are they good? Great football players. There's a lot of talent. Hope they live up to it. Both guys. I would say this to you about Nolan Smith. He hasn't lived up to that ability. And Jordan Davis hasn't. So you're going to have another one of those guys on your team? I don't want to be gun shy either, but hey, I know B-Walk. I've been picking on Hey, Tone says the same thing. Sills, man, Miles Murphy's going to find you and kick your ass when he sees you, dude. I mean, how many times you keep ripping on? And I'm not really, because he's a good ball player. He's a good ball player. Hey, Yale goes, they rotate. Yeah, not when Big Sills plays. I had Cortez and Russell behind me. You ain't getting in on me, dog. Big Sills don't sit the bench. That wasn't working like that. Yeah, not me, man. I used to have, me and Jerome had a rule. If we came out and we rotated for somebody, we better not see a drop-off in talent. Because if we did, you didn't get back in there again. You start putting other dudes in there, I'd look over at Butch Davis and go, dude, this is not happening here. We can't be giving up yards like that, because we used to get offended if we gave up a lot of rushing yards, which we never did. We gave up like 1.4 yards of like a run, and Jerome and I never wanted it over 2 yards a carry, because we thought that was offensive, and we always led the nation in least amount of points scored. Those were 2 things I hung my hat on. I'm like, we're not doing that. That's not working. I come over to the bench and I would complain. Dude, you're not putting Ernie Parrish in. He's getting drilled. And Ernie's standing next to me. I go, son, no, I'll work with you, but we're not having this. That's not working for us. Jerome would go, agreed. If you're going to rotate, you better make plays. That's why you have Russell Maryland and Cortez and Sapp and all the rest of these guys, Jimmy Jones and all the rest of these guys behind you. When they got in, they made plays. They had to. When we were, hey, if you made plays, we were good. I played 75 plays, 70 plays a game. I'd give up 10 of them. But you better make plays. Okay? Today, they rotate these guys in and out. Not me. I tell Mario Cristobal, why do you rotate so many guys when you're 6 and 7? Would you guys rotate people if you didn't have a 500 record? Not me, man. I'm dying with my best. I'm dying with my best dudes on the field. I'm not rotating guys because I'm afraid they're going to go to the transfer portal. I'd be like this, sayonara, get out of here. You're not worthy to be here. You're not. You know what? I'll leave you on this, and we'll take a time out here. I told Mario Cristobal after that last season, 75% of that roster that you have at the University of Miami right now don't deserve to wear Hurricane uniforms. And he agreed. I said, those guys on the sidelines with them selfies and all that bullshit going on, if that were me and Jerome, we would have smacked those guys in the head. We would have beat them up right there on the sidelines. Nobody celebrates until the game is over. Nobody celebrates. That Van Dyke shit, I would have beat him in the head. That selfie shit, and they lost that game. I would have dropped an elbow on him. I would have beat him up. That was old Sills. Now I can't get out of my own way. That would not fly with us. You know that turnover chain thing? I would have hung somebody with it. That would not have happened. Turnover chain? Are you kidding? You give the turnover chain after the game in the locker room when you win. And it's a team thing. I got to give you one last thing. We used to have the green jacket. You know what the green jacket is? Because we used to make fun of our president. His name was Tad Foote. I couldn't stand the guy. And he didn't like our attitudes, and he didn't like the color of our team, and he didn't like a lot of shit about us. Because we were not, quote, Miami guys or University of Miami. Those guys thought they were the Yale of the South. And plus we were in Coral Gables. And so they didn't like it. So they made us wear suits or suit jackets. So what we did was we goofed on them. And we took one of the jackets, because after that, Jimmy didn't let us do it. We took one jacket, the green jacket, and it was passed down to the best D lineman and the captain. Jerome had the green jacket. Kevin Fagan had it. Jim Bird had it. Ted Hendricks had it. This went from down because I don't think from Hendricks, but I think from Kevin Fagan down. Fagan passed it down to Jerome. Jerome passed it down to Stubbs. Stubb passed it down to to Russell Maryland. Maryland passed it down to Cortez. And this went on for a long time. And of course, Larry Coker stopped it. And that's why the Miami Hurricanes are in a position that they're in, because we had tradition. Nobody. That D line, that's why Miami's not in the place they're in now.